April 2026. This is Women Radio 91.7 FM, the voice of women. Nigeria's first and only radio station for women and their families. My name is Fumi Bangala, and this is the Daily News Review program where we run through the headlines and then we tackle the ones that caught our eye this morning with our analyst. Unfortunately, our analyst had to cancel this morning because she has to catch a flight. I mean, if you've been paying attention to the news, you know that flights have been canceled here and there, and she needed to get out of state. So they had to find a way to get her another flight. So I'm hoping that she even gets a flight based off of the increment in jet fuel and all of that. So that is what is going on in Nigeria. It's interesting how you think that Nigeria's problems are far away from you. I don't even know why anybody should think that Nigeria's problems are far away from them, knowing fully well that Nigeria's problems they come meet you wherever you are. So we shall be doing this together this morning. How are you? Hope you're well. Today is Wednesday, and Wednesday is the day that people either start slowing down or people just realize that, oh my God, I've played Monday and Tuesday. I need to go. Those, I mean, it's different for different people. So if you are the part of the ones that maybe Wednesdays you're like, oh my God, I've wasted Monday and Tuesday, please uh find a way to retrace your footsteps this morning. If you've been working so hard since Monday and Tuesday and you feel like, you know what, let me just consolidate, let me sort of like wind down, especially because today, this week we have a 4-day week because Friday is the Workers' Day, 1st of May. So you want to quickly finish what you want to do today so you can round off tomorrow and then we can enjoy our long weekend. With that being said, let's keep it moving. Our headlines for this morning, starting off with the Punch newspaper. We have 2027 election, Tinubu, APC bigwigs pick forms. The governor's advisory council, they are now backing Dr. Obafemi Hamzat, who is the deputy governor of Lagos State. And this is so interesting because I remember somebody saying to me last week that they did not think that Tinubu was going to go for a second term. And I was like, really? I was like, as out. And I should message him and say, you said Tinubu wasn't going to go, but if the nomination form for presidency has been picked for him, nomination form for governorship has been picked as well. I mean, forms are being picked basically, and this was done by James Faleke, who is a representative in the Lagos House of Representatives. So he picked it and said, you know what, we're doing this. He also picked for himself again because he wants to go back to the House. Election is upon us. We are 8 months away, or let me not even say 8 months because we're about to enter the 5th month of the year. So about let's just say 8 months or 7 months, however way you want to put it, once we enter May. Reps approve Tinubu's $516.33 million loan for Sokoto Badagry Superhighway. I don't have words for this because I just think that you cannot possibly be asking for this loan in your final year of the first term because you're assuming that you will become president by the next term. So when you do this loan and you're given, what happens if you're not elected? Because somebody might say, no, Mawale, that's not the point. The point is, this is not even the time to be getting a loan because you people have not even been governing, so to speak. So I don't know. Moving on to the Guardian newspaper, we have Olubadan urges the federal government to fast-track state police as insecurity persists. One of our Daily News Review family members, Adesina Wasiu, keeps talking about the state police because of insecurity. And in fact, he had started talking about insecurity in Kwara State, Ifelodun local government to be precise, from the middle of last year. And it's like he was a soothsayer because he had been talking about insecurity, he had been talking about the state police, and we're still on this almost a year in. So the Olubadan has now joined his voice, added his voice to the matter to say, Edakun, bigger people should bring out state police. Me, I'm still half and half about the state police because, and the reason is because we'll get into it this morning if we have enough time. We saw this week how a police officer shot an unarmed individual. Criminal or not, he was unarmed. He was even tied up. He was restrained and shot him in cold morning. I mean, cold-bloodedly. I mean, what's the word for it? So those are one of the major concerns I have, because if already we are having concerns, there's a backlash every now and again about how the state police treats civilians, how the state police intervenes in matters, how much more when you now give them autonomy to be able to do as they please. And I said do as they please, quote and unquote, because when you give them autonomy, what you're saying is that they're responsible for the state, they're responsible for law and order in that state with not much oversight from the federal government, because what you're saying now is the state police has power to do so. The person in charge of the state police would be the governor of the state. So I'm just, while I understand and I agree that there is need for the state police, because maybe if the state police are giving agency, so to speak, they're able to fight on behalf of citizens, they're able to curb insecurity. Yes, but there's that proverb or that phrase that says absolute power corrupts absolutely. I'm not. There's a scripture that also talks about the heart of man being desperately wicked. I'm not ready to test the desperately wickedness, the desperate wickedness of human beings that are given power to do and undo. No, I don't think I am. So the jury is still out on this one. Me, I'm the jury. I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced. Anyway, moving on, in the Guardian newspaper, we have UN raises concern over renewed xenophobic attacks in South Africa. I was in Rwanda last month, and one of I think the major, would I say, highlight of being in Rwanda was really learning their culture, learning their history, learning where they were, where they are now, and where they are looking forward to being in the future. And if you know anything about the Rwandan genocide, you would know that the reason for the genocide was because of the tribal wars between the Hutus and the Tutsis. Right now, there are no tribes in Rwanda. So they're just one Rwanda. In their own case, they're lucky because they just speak one language. It's not like in our case where we have different languages. Stay with me, I'm getting somewhere. Now, all over Africa is supposed to be more united than it is. I would dare say that Africa used to be united back in the day, but right now we don't even know what is going on. But we've been seeing a lot of hatred, a lot of aggression from South Africans to other African countries. I remember watching a series a while back, and in that series, the South Africans, the series was done in South Africa, but there were other nationalities in the series. It was a reality series, and there was a little bit of aggression, so to speak, from the South African counterpart, from their South African counterparts in that series. There were Nigerians in the series, there were Zimbabweans in the series, there were, I think it was a Congolese guy, a French guy, African French guy there. And we see these things show even in things like a reality series. When these xenophobic attacks started happening, I would have thought that the UN should have gotten involved, because, and I said this because if I'm going to go back to what I started saying in Rwanda, when the Tutsis and the Hutus were fighting, the UN just looked and was like, but now that it's getting out of hand, it got out of hand in Rwanda that they lost over 1 million people, over 1 million Rwandans were killed in 1994. And for me, it's just so concerning that, again, the UN is not doing what they need to do. Yesterday, our analyst at the MA was talking about how these countries, South Africa, when we were going through the worst of the worst in South Africa during the apartheid, it was African countries that came to their rescue. So I'm not understanding these xenophobic attacks that are increasing right now. Now, you would think that it is just South Africa. Guess what? It's happening in Ghana as well. Because yesterday, I'd seen it initially last week, but I thought, nah, they're just maybe mimicking South Africa. But we're seeing Ghanaians also say that immigrants should go to their country and go and build their country. And for me, it's a bit weird because I would have thought that we can live together, we can stay together. Now, bringing it home to us, the problem is that we're not realizing that this intertribal, intercountry dissension, division is a tool that people are using to bring about their own agenda. Because once there's unity, we can move forward as a nation. Once there's unity, we can move forward as a continent. In Nigeria, every now and again, you see the Igbos, the Yorubas, everybody's fighting each other. And nobody is really sitting down to think, wow, the fight I'm even fighting, does it make any sense? If I go to another man's country, I'm not, again, just to strike a balance, I'm not saying that there aren't criminals who are perpetuating evil. That's not what I'm saying. But the percentage of these evil people is low compared to people who are actually going to other places to make an honest living. Nobody's really sitting down to say, why don't we just fight ourselves? Nobody's thinking about that. Nobody's looking at each other to say, this fight where we fight ourselves, we know if we see progress for this continent. We know if we see progress for this country. Like, it doesn't make any sense. South Africans should look at Nigerians and be like, oh, I want a little bit of the resilience that Nigerians have. I want a little bit of the doggedness, business acumen that Nigerians have when they come to my country. Boy, you should go and learn from a Nigerian who's doing well in your country. For me, it's mind-boggling, because now it's not that it's random people who are attacking, non-South Africans, I'm talking Zimbabweans, I'm talking Ghanaians. It is that they have a force, they have a unit that is responsible for this. It's mind-boggling. I cannot understand it. Somebody do us this thing. We didn't say that only Nigeria this thing did, but it's the whole of Africa. And now somebody do. I'm like, in Rwanda, it was the Belgians, it was the French that were doing that needed the division to happen because they wanted to perpetuate their own agenda. And this thing, we can see it. In fact, if you look at all African countries that are going through one thing or the other, it's a repetitive cycle. There's nothing that's going on in Nigeria that hasn't happened in Rwanda or in Kenya. It's just that, when are we going to wake up and smell the coffee? That's just it. Moving on to the This Day newspaper, because right about now, Nigerians are calling on the federal government to come rescue them in South Africa, at least to even have some form of diplomatic relationship or start some form of diplomatic conversation with South Africa. Unfortunately, we do not have a Minister of Foreign Affairs, because Tugar has gone to say he won a contest for governorship in his own states. I don't know, man. I don't know. Moving on to the This Day newspaper. Worried about likely exclusion from 2027. ADC requests Supreme Court to give timely judgment. That is from the This Day newspaper. Next up on the This Day newspaper, we have court upholds FCCPC powers to investigate medical negligence. Okay. Every time we talk about medical negligence, I was telling some people on Sunday at church, I said, boy, it's time to be arresting people, because, in the case of maybe a woman loses her baby due to negligence, or a husband loses his wife due to medical negligence, or maybe a medical instrument was left inside the body of a woman or a man due to medical negligence. What are the repercussions to this thing? And that's the issue I think I have majorly with Nigeria. There is no actionable consequence to crimes. The only time we see consequences to crimes is when the people involved are not people that don't have people to fight for them. They don't have a lawyer, they don't have money, they cannot fight. It's commonly said that justice only works against the poor. Are you inclined to agree? Boy, you should call me to tell me. Because many women have lost their babies due to this. Many husbands have lost their wives due to this. Like, we've seen this thing happen. We've seen people die due to medical negligence. We've seen people become disabled due to medical negligence. You go in one way and come out another in a negative way. That's not something that, and we know that the medical field in Nigeria is top notch. The only issue is that we're having brain drain, and they're complaining that they're not being taken care of. I say, and I've been saying it and I'm still saying it again, that the medical sector needs a overhaul. Okay, moving on to the Daily Trust, we have ADC battles time, demands verdicts. Time in terms of, you guys need to give us your word. What's going on? Are you like, is it intentional? We don't know. Some people think that, the court not giving ADC their verdict is intentional. We don't know. Let me not say what I don't know. Zamfara State, residents abandoned 30 villages over withdrawal of troops. Now, these troops have been in Zamfara for over 7 years. Now, they are withdrawing them. Why are they withdrawing them? We've seen where troops were in a particular state, they were withdrawn, and then boom, bandits came there. So now residents of Zamfara State have left. The question really is, who ordered the withdrawal of the troops from this state? That's the $1 million question. Who ordered the withdrawal of troops from Zamfara State? Moving on to the Vanguard newspaper, we have Jet A1, middlemen defy regulators' pricing band, raise price to 2,230 naira per liter. And I think that the previous price used to be 1,007, 1,008. When I saw this headline, the first thing that came to my mind was, we are a lawless country. We don't obey the rule of law. We don't obey any law at all. Because if the regulators have come to say, look, let's cap this fuel price at this amount of money, and the middlemen are saying, no, that's people's business, we're going to increase it. And we see it happen time and time again. We see it happen on the roads. When you should be obeying the traffic light, you do not obey the traffic light. It's on red, but you're driving past it. When you should be waiting your turn on the queue and you want to jump the queue because you think that you're the one that brought everybody there on the queue. We see this happen in different ways. So are we really surprised to see that the middlemen are defying regulators' pricing band? Not exactly. Moving on to the next headline on the Vanguard newspaper, we have 6 in 10 Nigerian students are into cybercrime, says EFCC boss. This is such a sad thing because the rise in cybercrime, especially with young people, students or not, it's alarming. It is really, really alarming. About a week ago or 2 weeks ago, we were talking about how a Yahoo school, a crime school in Edo State, the owner of the school was arrested, and Rose was just her eyes were just popping open, like, what do you mean? See, I don't even know what to say at this point, because on one hand, the home is where this thing starts from. But on the other hand, a lot of Nigerian parents are okay with their kids going into cybercrime because they say, no, we say we get money, no, we say, no, be wiki Jesus kind of thing. Our politicians not the steal, our this not the steal. And that's why I'm always calling upon the government our politicians to be well behaved, because the kids are seeing you be flashy. The kids are seeing you be flamboyant. They're seeing your kids be flamboyant and flashy. And they're like, oh no, I want that life as well. So they resort to crime. Not saying that is the reason why, not saying that it is rightful for them to do so, but you just realize that when you see crime in the society is as a result of there's been a lack somewhere, either on the home front, either on from the government, either from policy, either from laws. All these things are intertwined. And when we see things like this, and then you now want to hammer on them, and people say, oh no, well, you people are stealing, and when nobody has been arrested, you're not like, people like to justify it because this person has clearly committed a crime. Parents, this is our call. We're calling on you right now to train your children better. When there's no need, we've seen parents who are paying for the kids to go to these schools for cybercrime. It's mind-boggling. It's really, really mind-boggling. Moving on to the premium times, we have police arrest officer who executed handcuffed man in viral video. Mentioned this when I was talking about the state police. That is my major concern when it comes to the state police. This officer executed a handcuffed man. We've been seeing what's happening in America. We watch movies where we see crimes done against civilians in America, and we are so upset about it. But we're seeing it now done in our country. I don't, and I was saying we should give them autonomy. Me, I'm very, very worried about that kind of autonomy. I'm never going to lie. I'm very, very worried. Okay. Moving on to the second headline on the Premium Times, NBA vows justice for lawyer assaulted by task force officials. What happened? This lawyer, the police officials were apparently harassing some village women in Oka, and that's yes, in Oka. Was it Abia State or was it Anambra State? One of those in Aba Market, beg your pardon, that's Anambra. And this lawyer was asking, saying that what right do they have to harass these market women? Next thing you know, these task force officials started beating up the lawyer and then put him in their vehicle and drove off with him. So now the Nigerian Bar Association are saying, oh, you people thought you could get away with this. Oh yeah, now let's go bar for bar. So that's what's happening. I'm very, very wary to intervene when police officers or any task force official is harassing my fellow Nigerian, because I don't want to be beaten. Again, if we were in a country that, you know, we obey the rule of law, I would be able to intervene and say something. But I fear for my life. I don't want to be beaten. So we see these things happen, and it now seems like we're now desensitized from these sort of things, this sort of harassment or crime or killings in general, because nobody want to die. Nobody want to be beaten for somebody else, beaten on behalf of somebody else. You know, it's just sad. It's just discouraging, because we should be our brother's keeper. Moving on to the Nation newspaper, we have End Gender-Based Violence. Protect Women and Girls, says the Alake of Egbaland, Oba Adetotun Badebo III. Any violence of any sort is a no. For us at Women Radio, that's a no, 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 and no. As a woman, as a human being, it should be a no for you as well. This morning, I was reading an account of, and I think we probably will get into it, is one of the headlines, a man who punched his wife to death. This is my call to you. If you're a woman or if you know a family member who is being beaten, who is being assaulted physically by their spouse, please get them to leave. It will not be easy, but please get them to leave. That's even spousal. Now, if you're in a girlfriend-boyfriend relationship and your boyfriend's hitting you and beating you, carry your kaya and be going. If you're a family member who knows this, please move. Please move. We're not doing that over here. You never even marry me, you want to beat me. If you don't even marry, you still beat me. No, we're not doing that here. No. So we're saying no to gender-based violence. Next up on the Nation newspaper, we have witness how $6.23 million was taken from the CBN coffers under Emefiele. We saw this headline as well yesterday, talking about Buhari, talking about Mustafa as well, that they were the ones that took the money. But if you say that they're the ones that took the money, you as the CBN boss, what you they look where your eyes not open? Because at the end of the day, see where you did now. Moving on to the cable newspaper, we have former PSC chair Simon Okeke calls on Atiku to step aside for Obi. Do you think that Atiku is going to step aside for Obi? Do you think that Obi is in the right party? I mean, there's so many do you think questions that I have right now, because person wait on the contest every for 4 years for presidency. You are not saying that the person should step aside. What are your reasons? I remember that on Monday when Emmanuel was with us on the Daily News Review, he was talking about how this thing is calculation, right? He's thinking, oh, Buhari did his 8 terms. I waited. Now I tried to contest in 2023. You're not saying I should not contest again, because he's already calculating how old am I? How old would I be when I want to now contest again? If you tell me to step aside, all those kinds of things. I don't even think that this is the matter of stepping aside. I think is who is the right man for the job? What is the track record of the right man for the job? What are the metrics to show that this person is the right man for the job? Not just step aside, because if you're telling somebody who feels like them contesting for a position that they feel is rightfully theirs, you want them to step aside, you have to give them reasons why they should and what they should benefit from it. I don't know, man. MDC disowns X account after post wooing Obi Kwankwaso. So we saw this on Monday as well, where the NDC had come out to say, what we want to field Obi and Kwankwaso OK 2027 as our presidential ticket. And I just had a good laugh, because I was just like, all this work that people should have been doing since 2023, like laying the groundwork as soon as the current president had come into seat, you are now doing it in crunch time. Anything we want to see, because I'm just so unruffled by all these things that are happening now. Moving on to the Daily Post, Lagos Task Force denies deploying officers to arrest motorists. Now, if you've been on the road for a while, whether on road, by foot or by a car, you know that we, the motorists, used to get arrested at will, depending on their mood. If when I'm leaving the office and I'm coming home, entering Beggar, right, there are FRC officials, there are VIO officials, and I can tell you for free that sometimes you get stopped based on how they feel about you. You get stopped based on what they feel about you. You get stopped based on how they are feeling generally. If they are cranky, if the sun is too hot. Even when I'm going to the office in the mornings, when I pass under the Beggar Bridge to go climb up, there's some police officers there. They will stop me in my car, but will not stop a trailer, will not stop a downfall. So when you are denying deploying officers, let's go back to the beginning. Because all these things I've mentioned, some of them are very, very illegal and shouldn't even be done in the first instance. Next up on the Daily Post, we have Lagos 2027. It won't stand. APC aspirants at Just Say kicks against Hamzat's endorsement by GAC. You see, when I saw this endorsement, I was asking myself, is this the only, but they say, oh, unopposed, undisputed. And I was like, the last I checked, though, I am very well aware that there are other, what they call them, that there are other aspirants, there are other people who want, the aspirants, yes, that's the word. So what was going on? So now I just had to say, guess what? Hamzat and I just say are both from the same party. They'll be setting out their marital issues because he also wants to contest for governorship. In the Tribune newspaper, we have 1 million naira salary worthless without stable naira, says the NLC. True or true? I wish I had an analyst this morning. 20 marks. Argue this one out. True. How much is 1 million? By the time you collect the 1 million naira, right, and you start dispersing the money, you know that the 1 million, the way 1 million used to be 1 million. I'll give an example. Where was I? I was in church on Sunday, and somebody, I think, gave a testimony about, somebody was sharing, not a testimony, in our workers meeting about him doing something, and he said, not to say what he said like 1 million naira then was 280,000 naira. And I didn't when I screamed. I screamed and everybody just turned and looked at me and was laughing. Because what do you mean 1 million? Sorry, 280 pounds. Or was it 200? No, I beg your pardon. $1,000 was 280,000 naira. Yeah, that's what he said. Not 1 million naira. $1,000 was 280,000 naira. Please excuse me. The dollars at this morning is like 1,003. Let's just say 1,004. Let's quickly calculate this because I don't want to disgrace myself at my math. Let's just say 1,004 times $1,000. I mean, how do we do it? 1.4 million is what $1,000 is now. And he said in 2000, like not so far off, 2000 and I think 18 or 19. No, that wasn't. I think 2020 or something like that was what he mentioned. Okay. And this is where I have an issue with NLC sometimes, because the fight that you guys will be fighting for us, you guys pick when you want to fight the fight for the masses, and then when it benefits you, you leave it. But truth be told, considering all the increment in petrol, the increment in which means increment in transport, increment in food, increment in all around everything, check how much your salary is and how much you're spending on these things. My children's school, they do clubs in their school, and then you pay for clubs. As our last term, the clubs were 20,000 naira. When they finished second term and they sent us the bill for third term, they told us that the clubs are now 40,000 naira per club. I had to call. I say, as how? Waiting happen. They say, well, the club teachers, the people who come in, because the clubs are not, the clubs is organized by the school, but the facilitators are not teachers from the school. They come from outside the school, and they were complaining that, sorry, our money has to go up. So now we have to pay 40,000. I've had to sit my daughter down to tell her, Madam, you used to do 4 clubs before. That was 80,000 naira. We cannot do 4 clubs now. You can only get to do 2 clubs because 2 clubs is 80K. So even yesterday, she still came to me to say, oh, mommy, can I do 3 clubs instead? I say, as how? 3 clubs is 120K. How much is your school fees that we just paid? You know, and I'm sure that a lot of people are having these conversations either with their spouse, their parents, their siblings, or their children. I very much recommend speaking to your children and whoever, maybe your spouse, about money issues so that we are all on the same page. My daughter is 8 and I explained it well to her, so she understands that you cannot do 4 clubs because we're not going to pay 160K for clubs, which is almost how much, of your school fees. We're not going to do that. So I don't know what the government's plan is when it comes to the economy and taking care of us. I don't know, but we're sure here, we're looking. Kidnappers demand 500 million naira ransom for abducted farm manager in Ondo State. 500 million naira. That's 500 million, right? So, it is well. Again, we hear about kidnappers, abductions, banditry, killings, and we are so desensitized from it, but so disillusioned from it because it has now become a norm until it gets close to home. May it not get close to home for us. In the pen pushing newspaper, finally today, we have Gbenga Daniel picks nomination forms. Sean's consensus candidature of Dakpo Abiodun. If you've been following this, you know that Dakpo Abiodun is finishing his term as governor of Ogun State, and he's picking up the Ogun West House of Assembly form. And there's been a, oh yes, he's the one. Now, if you've been following, if you know your history, your government, you know that Gbenga Daniel is also in the house. So it's that they're saying, oh God, you cannot go again the second time or a third time. I'm not sure how many times he's gone. That's what is happening right now. But this is survival of the fittest. Who get power pass? Let's be seeing. But in the last 1 month, we've been seeing cracks in the house of APC. We don't know how much again this will happen with this, because remember that we just read the headline about the APC aspirant in Lagos who is kicking against Hamzat's endorsement by the GAC because he himself wants to go for governorship. Okay. Lastly, we have terrorist abducts 24 pupils, 2 others from Islamic school in Kogi State. This is sad news, and I don't even know what to say again, because I say mouth don't they pain me for just to always come talk about these matters. I am tired. I'm tired. Anyway, this I don't know. That we've come to the end to running through the headlines this morning. You're still tuned to Women Radio 91.7 FM. The time is 5 minutes after 8 this morning. The phone lines are now open. Our analyst is unfortunately not around, regrettably so, but we're doing this together. So please, I'm expecting your calls: 07000-917-917, 09155-917-917, to hear your contributions and your comments on the headlines we've read through. Also, you can send your text messages to 0703-1756-537. Also, because we realize that some of us don't have credit to call, you can actually send a voice note to us on 0703-1756-537. Send the voice notes to our WhatsApp line, and we'll actually play your voice note out. So let the voice notes start coming in, so that we're also trying to be extra sensitive to the economic terrain, to the economic situation of our daily news review family members. We're not irresponsible over here. We know, right, that we're in dire straits right now in the country. So please send your voice notes to 0703-1756-537 so we can hear your thoughts and contributions on the headlines we've read, and as we go into the headlines for this morning. Once again, this is Women Radio 91.7 FM. We are live on YouTube at WFM917.com. My name is Fumi Bangbala, and this is the Daily News Review. You can listen to us on the go via our website, www.wfm917.com. Okay, let's take these messages this morning. Olusoga Ajayi from Odunlai Korodu says, 100 million naira for a form while the minimum wage is 70,000 naira. The disconnect is loud. Faleke is picking up forms in Abuja while Nigerians are picking up the pieces of their budgets at 1,415 naira per dollar. Crazy times. This country is sitting on a dangerous time bomb. What a pathetic situation. Interestingly, for this form, when Faleke went to pick up the form, I remember I saw that he was saying that, oh no, it's not one person that paid though. Is well-meaning Nigerians that paid. And I said, who? Is it well-meaning Nigerians that cannot afford a 3-square meal? Is it well-meaning Nigerians that cannot afford to buy egg? They can't buy meat any longer because meat and chicken is expensive, and fish. So they resorted to buying eggs for the kids. But now they can't buy eggs for the kids. So the children don't even have any form of protein. That was what I came. So I said, which one of the Nigerians paid for this form? Because it was Nigerians all over. I know that I didn't contribute to this, so who? And so if you have 100 million naira to buy a form, we need to question you, because what is your salary as a government official that you can afford a form of 100 million naira? Minimum wage is 17. Interestingly, this week we saw a headline where the government, the federal government wants to increase the minimum wage by October. The one that they increased to 70,000 naira, not everybody's getting the 70,000 naira one. So this is such a good point, because what are we doing? Another message we have from Additional Wasiu he says, good morning to you in the studio. On APC consensus candidates across the state, and some are picking forms for their choice candidates, and some people who are not party members are complaining. What concerns Agbero with overload? That is their party. One thing I want people to know is that 2027 is a contest, and one person will win and others will lose. So prepare your mind very well. It is a contest. On borrowing for the Elephant Project, it is necessary because Nigeria lacks infrastructure and we want Nigeria to look like US and UK. Go and check US and UK. They're the highest debtors in the world. What we need to demand for is judiciously using these monies for the projects that they borrowed it for. Without borrowing for Elephant Project, we can't have infrastructure in this country. Thank you so much, Additional Wasiu, for your message. I think you hit the nail on the head when you say judiciously judicious usage of this money, because what's the point, right? What's the point borrowing such a high amount of money and we're not seeing what the money was borrowed for? We're not seeing it. So that's where the issue is. Yeah, yes, I agree. Even banks, people all borrow money, but they are using their money for something, right? That they can see, and in the hopes that they'll be able to repay the money. But in this case, is that really the case? Anyway, let's take this first headline. I started talking about it when I was reading the headlines this morning. Lagos man punches wife to death during dispute. Please, please, and please, we say no to gender-based violence. We say no to it. And nobody should come at me and say, oh, men also get beaten. We're not talking about men getting beaten. We're talking about women getting beaten. A 41-year-old man, Uchenna Agoha, allegedly punched his wife, Esther, to death during a domestic altercation in the satellite town area of Lagos State. It was gathered that this deceased had been subjected to domestic violence in the marriage before the day the incident happened. I'm sure that somebody had told this woman, this man is going to kill you. I'm sure that somebody had told this woman, leave so that this man doesn't kill you. But she said, oh no, he'll not be like that. He will change. If the man starts hitting you, he's never going to change. Quote to be anywhere, I can say it. If he ends up changing, let him go and change somewhere else. It's not me. I'm not going to be the person that you now. I'm not going to be the person that will be checking for your change. No. No. The altercation had ensued on the day of the incident, and it said the altercation started with an argument and then degenerated into a fight, and then boom, murder. Really, a source who was privy to the incident but did not want to be named told our correspondent that on Tuesday, the husband threw punches at the wife, Esther, in the process leading to her death. We are aware that she had been a victim of abuse in the marriage, but the altercation that happened on Friday morning appeared to be one of their regular fights. It was later that the daughter ran out of the house and raised the alarm that our mom has collapsed. So after being punched by her father, the mom is not moving. We rushed there and discovered that she was motionless. A police source who spoke to this newspaper said he was not permitted to discuss the incident, but that it was also corroborating the matter that it was the couple's daughter that reported the case at the police station. They sent their men to go to the scene of the crime and saw that the victim had been rushed to a particular hospital in Ojo in their area, but the doctor on duty said she was dead as she was brought in. He was the one who confirmed her dead. Thankfully, the suspect has been arrested and is currently in police custody. The body was subsequently deposited at another hospital for autopsy, and the case will be transferred to another state criminal, SCID basically, State Criminal Investigation Department for further investigation. Domestic violence cases have continue to raise concern amongst a lot of us, among stakeholders in Nigeria, with reports of spousal abuse and fatalities surfacing across different states. Experts have repeatedly called for stronger enforcement of laws protecting victims and increased awareness to curb the trend. Interestingly, another piece of news we see is that in February 2025, the police also arrested a 23-year-old man, Bolahon Adebayo, for allegedly beating his wife to death. God, I beg. God, actually, I beg. You see, when I was talking about that headline earlier on, I said, please, it's bad enough that a man is beating his wife, a woman that you promise to love, care for, and protect, a woman that you went on one knee to beg to marry you, a woman that you said, ah, to ba femi mama ku, a woman that you said, George, me mo fe fe, mo fe ka e mi da, right? That's the woman that you profess so much love to, and then next thing you are hitting the woman. I don't know. To not say that his boyfriend is beating girlfriend, as how, see, it's important that we train our children right. There's so much emphasis on training the girl child, train her to cook, train her to be a homemaker, train her to be a mother, but there's really, really, really no training for the boy child. We've been seeing quite a few men, come up to say, look, I'm going to be a role model to young boys. There are some coaches, there's some is it clubs or associations that we've seen that men are mentoring young boys, but it's not as popular as women doing so, because from the moment you give birth to a girl, the girl has turned into training center for, I don't even know. I don't tire. Okay. Let's read this message. Good morning, crew. Congratulations. I heard your president went to borrow another loan of 510 million naira. Yeah, $510 million, and your rubber stamp Senate approved it. So far, your president has borrowed 80 trillion naira so far. Where is the development? Where is the infrastructure? Where is the lights? Where is the insecurity? Where is the health so far? Nothing to show for it. Even with all the taxing the daylight of Nigerians, is all for what? Rebooting, wasteful and unnecessary traveling, vote rigging, vote buying, the 2027 elections through cash and carry, INEC and judiciary. If you are done well, why don't you allow people to decide your fate? But you intentionally want to rig yourself into power, like a failed student who wants to promote himself to another class. It's a shame the worst of us is ruling the best of us. Truly, there was a country. That is Leko from Lagos. Thank you so much for your message. Not to sound somehow, but I want to set the example of Rwanda. Now, President Paul Kagame, I almost said Mugabe. Paul Kagame has been in power since 1996, so the late 90s up until now. And when I was speaking to our tour guide when we went there, she said, I was asking her, I said, so do other parties come to say they want to, contest? And she said, yes, they do. But the question is, what do you people want to do? What do you want to say that Paul Kagame has not done? When you have a good leader, nothing, people will request for you over and over and over again. So that man has been in power for over 20 years, right? And they're like, we don't want him to go. But they still do the elections and everything, but the other people feel woeful. If you are confident in all that you have done, if you're confident in your track record, then you should not be afraid of anything. You shouldn't. Anyway, the number to call 07009179117, 0703, no, 08155 You can send a message to us on 073 537. And remember, I already said that you can send us a voice note. We can listen to your voice notes. Okay? Okay, I'm done with that headline because my final word on this is please, and please, please, and please, domestic violence is a no. Don't say, oh, he loves me is why he beats me. He don't love you, because if he love, why is he not beating his mother? Why is he not beating his siblings? That's food for thought for you, who thinks that a man must beat you for you to be okay. That's food for thought. Our next headline this morning, before we go, is the one from Zamfara. Residents abandon 30 villages over withdrawal of troops. Panic has swept through parts of Zamfara state following the withdrawal of security troops from Lilo village in Mada district of Gusau local government area, forcing more than 30 surrounding communities to abandon their homes in search of safety. Residents said that the mass exodus began after troops who had been stationed in the area for over 7 years were suddenly evacuated late last night, leaving the communities vulnerable to renewed bandit attacks. Like, why would you even call out the troops from there? What are they calling them to do? Is it what they're going to fight? Of course, as is expected, a resident of Lilo said fear spread quickly after the departure of the security personnel. They fled because they were afraid of imminent attacks by bandits. The troops have been their only protection. According to him, the soldiers were first deployed to the village in June 2019 by former Zamfara State Governor Bello Matawale, shortly after he resumed office. The troops stayed there for over 7 years. There were more than 60 personnel from different security agencies. Their presence kept them safe. He revealed that the troops were withdrawn around 10 p.m. with 2 armored personal carriers and a Toyota Hilux used to evacuate them. One of the security officers told them that they were pulled out due to fears of ambush, especially as the rainy season begins. The river around the village makes access difficult and reinforcement is nearly impossible. He recalled that during the previous raining season, troops in the area were ambushed, resulting in the deaths of 6 personnel after reinforcements failed to arrive on time due to poor road conditions. Omo, I don't even know. It is well with Nigeria. That's all I can say. It is well with Nigeria. And what is alarming for these communities is that they've not had any banditry attacks, right? But they now feel like they are now at risk because they see them as enemies for refusing to cooperate with them. I don't even know what to say, because it's a lot. Anyway, on that note, we have come to the end of the daily news review program, because Nigeria's issues, unfortunately, will not finish. Nigeria's issues will continue now and again, but we're hoping against hope that everything will change for the better. From our politics to the economy, to the medical sector, to all the sectors, basically, to even the value systems that we have in this country. Value systems like respect, taking care of your environment, value systems like being your brother's keeper, right? Those are value systems that are now very, very lacking. Clean your environment. They're now very lacking. People just throw things out of their vehicles. People just behave like they just be local lane. With that being said, we've come to the end of the daily news review program. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you, Additional. Thank you, Likon. Thank you, Olusegun Ajayi, for your messages, for keeping me company this morning. This is still Women Radio 91.7 FM, the voice of women. As always, you know that we are going to continue this tomorrow for another edition by 7:30. Come with your A game. Our analysts hopefully will be around as well tomorrow. But I say that I did a great job if I just say so myself. Okay. All right. Catch you tomorrow at 7:30 for another edition of the Daily News Review. 9 o'clock is the news, 9:05 is her lands. Do not go anywhere. Bye for now.
The best music.
You're listening to WFM 91.7.